Hey everyone, I am currently in Africa. I am in Nairobi, Kenya, and I'm outside of Nairobi, Kenya, kind of just in the outskirts. I'm at the tea region of Nairobi. Here it's just super green, really beautiful, and I'm really enjoying my few hours here. I've just spent the morning journaling, sipping on this cappuccino and a passion juice. And of course, that's so lovely. If you don't know, my favorite fruit ever is passion fruit, and here it's super prevalent and everywhere, and the juices are just amazing and so fresh. So I've been trying to get my hands on all the passion juice that I could get. Anyways, I have officially concluded week 7 of The Artist Way. This one, once again, took me a few extra weeks to complete as I was traveling, then I was climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. Unfortunately, I did not make it to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro as I got really, really sick. And it turns out I had typhoid fever. And I also did not have my book with me taken to Tanzania since I was going to be on the mountain regardless the entire time. So when I was recovering and resting in the hotel, I kind of just rotted. I'm pretty ashamed to admit that I just scrolled most of the time and did not use my time that wisely. But also, when you feel so sick, you don't really want to be doing anything. You don't really have any motivation or brain power. So, that's going to be my excuse. But I'm all better now. I'm all healthy, and I'm super proud of my friends. They all made it up the rest of the mountain, and they had an incredible time. Also, kind of a very difficult time. They said the last day was pretty brutal, and it looked pretty much like Antarctica. It was snowing so heavy on their summit day, but they all made it to the top. What an incredible experience! And I was looking through their photos and got to live the experience through them a little bit. Very, very proud of them. But let's get into my biggest takeaways of week 7. So, what is week 7 about? Week 7 is titled as Recovering a Sense of Connection, and this is just a connection with yourself, your artist, and God. What we really have to focus on, take away from this lesson, is that we do not have to perform things perfectly, and not all ideas are ours. Really, ideas already exist in the realm, in the world. You're kind of the shell or the vehicle that these ideas implement themselves into. So I've heard this before too, and I just remember someone saying all ideas are kind of like stars, or what are those little seeds, the fluffy seeds from those trees that blow around in the wind during springtime? I forget what they're called. But basically, just imagine yourself that there's all these stars, and each star is an idea, and you kind of just grab one and it's yours. Or there's a shooting star and it hits you, and that's the idea. All these ideas already exist, they just need to find you. So Julia Cameron says these moments of clear inspiration require that we move into them on faith. When these ideas come to you, you have to make sure that you act upon them. As if you don't act upon an idea right away or soon, they will just simply find another home and another person to execute that idea. So ensure that when you have that aha moment, that you write it quickly down and you start building upon it almost right away. Otherwise, it'll just become one other idea that ends up in your phone notes or in your journal that you never acted upon, and it could have been something very extraordinary. So just be open, pay attention to the world around you, pay attention to those moments and ideas that you get in your head, and write them down no matter what time of day it is. I feel as if this tends to happen a lot before we go to bed, and you'll have your mind is kind of spinning and you'll have all these creative flows and ideas, and then you just forget them in the morning. So I would recommend having a little journal next to your bedside, or if you have to, take your phone, but I feel like your phone It's not the healthiest spot because social media might draw you in, you might start scrolling, you might get distracted when you grab your phone. Whereas if you have a journal, you'll write it all out. And pen to paper also ensures that you just remember these things better. And sometimes the idea can start executing itself right there and then. Sometimes your hand moves faster than your mind, and it'll be crazy what you write out. Julia Cameron here states, once you accept that it is natural to create, you can begin to accept a second idea, that the creator will hand you whatever you need for the project. You will hear the dialogue you need, find the right song for the sequence, see the exact paint color you almost had in mind, and so forth. You will have the experience of finding things, books, seminars, tossed out stuff that happen to fit with what you are doing. Try to remember that God is the great artist. Artist, like other artists. So keep your eyes peeled, listen to the world around you. You never know what things will stumble upon your trajectory and what will come about. Life is seriously so special in that way, and there's so many synchronicities, and things come to us when we need them most. If something doesn't happen right now, then it wasn't meant to be. Just as I wasn't able to climb Kilimanjaro since I got typhoid fever, I wasn't meant to climb it. And then again, I also struggled with not being able to climb it for the last 3 years. This has been my dream, and every year that I tried to go, it just didn't work out. So maybe I just wasn't meant to climb it at all. Maybe something worse would have happened. So I'm just gonna, you know, trust that, and it's all okay. I got over it. Obviously, I felt defeated at first, but I got to really focus on my thoughts and myself and be in solitude and be forced to rest and not do much during those few days, which honestly was very needed and a little bit eye opening. And I do think that kind of opened up a pathway for me for the future that I maybe did not really think about much in the past. And now I'm kind of in the middle of two paths. I'm at the fork of the road. I'm not sure which one to take. And I'll get more into that later, but it it is eye opening. Anyways, so the next part of the chapter goes into perfectionism. Julia Cameron describes this as a refusal to let yourself move ahead. It is a loop, an obsessive, debilitating, closed system that causes you to get stuck in the details of what you are writing or painting or making and to lose sight in the whole. A lot of us think of ourselves as perfectionists, and I used to think this was a good thing until when I was interviewing for positions after college. I kind of wanted to make my what is something that you're currently working on or that you see as a negative aspect of yourself. I wanted to always say perfectionism, but then I learned that perfectionism is actually a really, really bad thing. And no one likes a perfectionist. No one wants to have a perfectionist on their team because that truly does mean that nothing will ever get done since you won't ever be happy with your work until it's 100% complete and perfect in your eyes, which 99% of the time that is unattainable and impossible. You cannot have everything perfect. And if you are only focusing on this one thing, then look at all these other work tasks that you have that will never even get touched since you're so laser focused on this one thing that needs to be perfect. So, perfectionism is actually pretty debilitating and kind of like poison, kind of like a disease that takes over you and never allows you to create freely or make mistakes, which that is one of the most imperative thing that you can do throughout your artist journey is to create mistakes. You have to try, you have to create, you have to act upon your ideas even if you think you're not ready, because as soon as you act on it and begin, these mistakes that might look like mistakes in your eyes might be perfectionists perfectionism in other people's eyes. And even if it's not that, everything that you do is an experience and you learn from it. So allow yourself to make mistakes. Perfectionism is poison, and mistakes are a normal part of creativity. So let go of that side of you that wants everything to be ideal. And also just look around me right now. These are my favorite aesthetic to be around. Like this table used to be a wooden door and it is scratched up. It is broken on one part of it. The paint is peeling here around me. This is also a very old piece of wood, and everything kind of has that rustic look. The floor is imperfect, the walls are imperfect, they're not painted, they're left blank, and it's kind of like a blank canvas. And this I love. It is beautiful, and all of these imperfections actually make this place perfect, at least in my eyes. So just remember that nothing has to be perfect, and do not strive for perfectionism because that actually hinders you. And then we go into risks, which kind of go hand in hand. It is so important that we take more risks, and I want to take more risks. This chapter made me think of a little challenge for myself that I want to take a little risk every single day, no matter how small or how big, just to keep showing up for myself and build that confidence within me, to show myself that I can do difficult things and I can put myself out there. Remember, nothing is wasted when it's all for the experience. I love how Julia Cameron starts out this section. So she first asks the question, what would I do if I didn't have to do it perfectly? The answer, a great deal more than I am. And that is so true. The success of creative recovery hinges on our ability to move out of our head and into action. We deny that in order to do something well, we must first be willing to do it badly. Instead, we opt for setting our limits at the point where we feel assured of success. You never will have that success or that reassurance that everything will be okay all the time. Sometimes you just have to step into it, start dipping your toes in the water, not knowing what the future holds or what the outcome will be. Go head first into it and be willing to mess up, and that's where the most beauty comes out of it. Stop saying that you're too shy, that you're too old, that you're not capable, that you don't know how to do this well enough, that there's smarter people out there or more capable. Everyone has their own artistic flair, and everything's very different in that realm. Hello, how are you? Those are beautiful. Another excerpt is usually when we say we can't do something, what we mean is that we won't do something unless we can guarantee that we'll do it perfectly. As we all know, hindsight is always 2020. So after you create a video or a painting, you might say, "Oh, I should have done this," or "This would have been better." But of course, in the future, you're always going to know exactly like what to fix or what bothers you. But once again, those imperfections are still beautiful. As people, I think sometimes we gravitate towards those imperfections and we find beauty in those things. Your future you will always think that you could have done something better, but naturally, as the process goes on, we will become better and we will look back at our first painting or first project and say, wow, that is actually really terrible and I could have, done that way, way better. But in that moment, you really couldn't have. And that was a stepping stone for you to become the person that you are today. Once we are willing to accept that anything worth doing might even be worth doing badly, our options widen. If I didn't have to do it perfectly, I would try, for example, I would try writing a book, becoming a certified scuba diver, and taking people on excursions. I would do swim lessons. I would try pottery. Hmm, what else? I would begin watercoloring. There's just so many different things I'd love to try, and I do feel hindered sometimes where, oh no, I can't start because this other person does it so much more well. But that does not mean anything. We are all our own people, and comparison is the thief of joy. Sometimes I just need to remember that I should not be scrolling on social media, and instead I should just be doing these creative things that my body and soul craves for, and just not compare and just enjoy the process, not even the outcome. You never fail by taking a risk. Remember that. Taking risks expands you and empowers you and allows you to become more confident within yourself. The next part of week 7 is jealousy. And oh, this part of the chapter kind of irked me and made me feel uncomfortable, but only because I relate to it and I definitely have big moments of jealousy in comparison, especially on social media and to other people, or comparing myself to other girls that seem just so cool girl coded and are doing really cool things and dance classes and art and posting about it. And like, why can't I be doing that? Then again, I don't want to post about these things. I want to keep them to myself. But I need to stop wasting time looking at other people's lives and actually dedicating the time towards these arts and creative outlets myself. Julia Cameron mentions here that jealousy had actually been a mask for her fear of doing something she really wanted to do, but was not yet brave enough to take action toward it. Jealousy is a mask for fear. It is frustration that somebody else seems to be getting what is rightfully ours, even if we are too frightened to reach for it. But in reality, there is room for all of us. We all can be dedicating time to these things, and we all can be good at something. One person does not exist on this world for this one realm of art. With courage, you will dare to take risks, have the strength to be compassionate, and the wisdom to be humble. Courage is the foundation of integrity. This is a quote by Keshavan Nair. Jealousy honestly sucks. It is such an uncomfortable feeling, and it really is just us realizing of the things that we want to be doing, but we're currently not, and it's kind of a frustration with ourselves and why we feel jealous of others. So it's important to know the specific things and people you are jealous of and notate why. Julia Cameron actually gives us a practice of how to do that here, but how to turn that jealousy into a creative risk, as she says. Because everything has an answer. Like, for example, here, she is jealous of Anne Sexton, who is a famous poet, and the action is to publish her own long form poems. Take note of what and who you're jealous of. Write a big list, and then write a list next to it. Okay, what are the things I could be doing that will help me reach that goal? Why am I feeling jealous? Oh, well, she has such a cool fashion style. Well, what can you do? You could also build your own very cool capsule wardrobe. Start going to the thrift store and start posting about it if that's what you want to do. Or get rid of all the pieces in your closet that don't fit who you are anymore. Get rid of it. Shed that old part of you. So just really try and rediscover who you are. Treat yourself well and with kindness, just like you treat others and strangers, and take yourself on more artist dates. Luckily, I have been able to do that a lot here, maybe a bit too frivolously, as I've been going to so many markets around here, and I love the style and art that they create here. There's so many talented artists and shopkeepers in this area who weave beautiful baskets, beautiful lights, have beautiful silver lanterns and lampshades, amazing soapstone chessboards, which I bought, bracelets from beads. They also make homemade clay beads, pottery, acrylic paints on canvases. So I have bought a few of these things, and even the art of making coffee from scratch, and the whole entire process of picking the beans and roasting them on the fire right there. So a few things I bought for myself and for others as gifts are coffee beans, some artwork, bracelets, beaded homemade keychains, soapstone figurines and chessboards, jewelry. That's a souvenir I get for myself from every country I visit or city that I love, and this is my souvenir from Kenya. I did get it on the coast of Kenya, but I have to say I have spoiled myself a little bit on this trip with all the things that I have gotten. Also, as I'm here, I've just been really reminiscing and focusing on what path I want to take next. I am here officially for 4 weeks now. It was supposed to be a little shorter, but I was supposed to fly through Qatar and do an overnight stay in Qatar. I had a hotel booked. I was super excited to roam around the old part of the city, just take a long walk through Qatar and see what I stumble upon. But unfortunately, the war broke out in the Middle East, and it's super sad and scary. I'm very grateful that my flight lined up to be a few days after, so I was able to actually switch it. But my next available flight was not until a few days later, so I leave now tomorrow and I'm going through London. Very grateful and lucky to be here and have the ability to stay here longer and be safe. I am praying for all of those who are there currently, and I hope it's as a stress free and safe situation as it can be. I hope the situation does not worsen. Yes, I have been here for 4 weeks. I'm spending a lot of time with my friends, and it's just been so rejuvenating and also amazing to be with people again because, as some of you may know, I'm a digital nomad, and most of the time I'm actually by myself, traveling throughout the US and living on my own. And I will be doing that for a few more months as I will be traveling to Maine and then North Carolina and a few other places by myself and living there. But I'm feeling a pretty strong sense and urge to settle down and remain stagnant and be in one place and start building a home and maybe a life with my boyfriend. I really want to create again, and it's really hard to create and pour into all the realms I'd like to when I'm constantly on the road and traveling. I don't have all the time to, pick up a paintbrush and paint or make a video as I'm either driving to someplace new, exploring wherever I am, or working my 9 to 5, which takes up a lot of my time and can be sometimes pretty stressful. So I'm trying to really determine of what I want to do. But then the other half of me is I did study international business and I also really want to live abroad at one point and fulfill that dream of mine. And there are some open positions currently in Australia, although most of these positions would be most likely at least a year and a half to 3 years potentially. And I'd have to continue long distance with my boyfriend. I'd be across the entire world by myself, and no one can easily hopscotch there. It's whether I want to continue my solitude journey of being a digital nomad, which I do think I could build a sense of community in Australia, but it would be one that's not forever, as I do want to return to North Carolina. And I'm just so torn of what to do because lately I have had this strong sense of I want to slow down and be in one place for a little bit, for not even a little bit, for a while. I think I want to start building my dream home. And I'm just so torn. And then the other part of me is wanting to become a teacher, a world history teacher, as I feel like that would be my ideal dream job and would be also great when I have kids in the future with school schedule as well as having holidays and summers off, and I would have time for my side hustles and some of these other dreams I want to fulfill. And also I would be a continuous learner and get to learn about the world and share about the world with students and engage in interesting conversations, and that just sounds so amazing to me. But I just really don't know what to do. And then the other part of me is okay, if I remain stagnant, then I could start also focusing on my health. And your 20s are so defining. There's actually a book, I believe it's called Defining Decade. It's all about your 20s and how what you do in your 20s really kind of determines the trajectory of your life and the type of person that you become the rest of your life. So if you are lazy in your 20s and unmotivated, that's pretty much who you're going to be for the rest of your life. Whereas if you work out every single day and you are kind, kindness being a big thing, then that is who you will pretty much remain for the rest of your life as well. And in the last few months, even though I've been living this amazing life, I found myself kind of in a negative cycle, and I cannot place my finger on why that is. But I really want to reformulate, the neural pathways in my brain and have positive thinking again and look at the world in a positive way. And I do think part of it has to do with all the crazy events that have been happening in our world nowadays. And it is hard to remain positive sometimes. But in the grand scheme of things, you can't dwell on what's happening so much because it will truly eat you alive. You have to find the positivity somehow and remain happy. And that's definitely a tough thing to do, but I used to be that way. And maybe, yes, I was naive about the world, but also was more attentive and seeing and happy when people are. There's definitely a lot of things I'm considering currently. And yeah, I'm just trying to reflect on what truly is important to me and whether I want to remain in my nomadic lifestyle or start becoming stagnant and building my dream home. Something like this, honestly, where I have my creative escape and able to build kind of an artist studio and start focusing on these creative outlets and find the time to do so. And also, when it comes down to it, family, God, love is what's most important in life. And while I do love traveling and meeting strangers and connecting with others and seeing the world around me, I do think there's so much beauty in the other part of it of building a home and a family and having even having the opportunity to do that is so lucky. I kind of want to get a home and start building a lovely home. And I feel so privileged and lucky to be able to even do that when there's so many places where people don't have a choice and there's war and there's oppression. It's just, yeah, when it all comes down to it, it's God, love, and building a family, honestly. And I don't know, when I look back in my life in a few years, will I be happy that I was alone throughout this whole time and discovering myself? Or will I regret not building a family and focusing on my love sooner? Or should I just move to Australia and do this for 2 more years and then do it? But what if something happens? What if there is no tomorrow? And that's where I'm really struggling with. But we'll see. I am feeling very drawn to like I said, move somewhere and remain in one place, and that will allow me to pour into these creative outlets and build a community, start going to the local museums, local clubs, maybe join some local community college classes, start reading a lot more, focus on psychology, philosophy, world events, religion, love. There's a lot of thoughts going through my mind. And I mean, I guess this was week 7, recovering a sense of connection, and I am kind of forming a sense of connection to myself, my partner, and my future family. Like, what really matters to me the most. So I'm feeling drawn to this stable life. We'll see. I hope this made sense. I feel like I kind of went on a spiral and a tangent about what my next steps in life are. But let me know what you are currently doing, the type of life that you're living, what creative outlets that you like to pour into, and if you are in one place, do you actually have the time to do this, or is just this something that's deterring me in my mind of, oh, well, first I need to get a house or an apartment in one place and then I could do this? Or am I able to do this whilst traveling? I just have to make sure I find the time for it. I think both can be true, and I really just have to see what I want to do. I mean, to be fair, I have been doing nomadic lifestyle for 2.5 years at this point, and I miss a sense of community, and I don't want to be doing long distance anymore with my boyfriend. So we'll see. So week 8 is recovering a sense of strength. I will be beginning week 8 today, and I'm super excited. I I'm getting close to the end of the artist way. I'm 2/3 of the way there once we start week 8, as it's 12-week course. I know this is taking me longer, but we're still going through the whole workbook. I haven't put it down. It's just that some weeks have taken me longer, as it's sometimes hard to balance. But I have tried to do my morning pages. Before week 7, I did not miss a single day of morning pages. Unfortunately, I did miss a few days now. There are a few days where I did not journal when I got super sick with typhoid fever and when I was super lazy in the hotel and on some of our chaotic travel days. So unfortunately, I did not pick up my journal every single day. I'm trying to go back and journal a little here and there. It's okay. I'm trying to forget that I did that and keep pushing forward and moving forward and ensuring that I journal daily going forward and getting my thoughts out on paper. And it has been really eye-opening these last few days, and it has made me even more positive in the last few days and happier. So it's something that I truly missed, and I don't realize how grounding the morning pages really are and how good they are for you. So if you haven't started, I highly recommend. You just discover so much about yourself and you realize where life is pulling you towards, even though sometimes you don't want to admit it to yourself, or sometimes it, comes onto your pages quite frequently and it's a reoccurring thought and you're like, okay, it's time I start acting upon this because why do I keep coming back to this? But yeah, that's week 7. So greetings from Nairobi, Kenya, and I'll see you guys next week back at home in the US. Bye.